the other game, which I found this game to be just as boring too, because for some reason, Jake Browning, after 2 years ago, he was able to come in for Joe Burrow and play relatively well. It's like Jake Browning just forgot how to play football. Like, he's been absolutely atrocious. After throwing 3 interceptions last week against the Minnesota Vikings, he goes into this game and just doubles down on that performance. So you're telling me, Jake Browning, you have 2 absolutely prolific wide receivers. You have 2 number 1s. These are 2 guys that Joe Burrow vouched for to get their contract. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. The Bengals paid them, so you're pretty set. And then you got Chase Brown, a pretty good back at the running back position. And you're telling me Jamar Chase caught 3 balls. He was only targeted 8 times. Oh, no, sorry. He was actually targeted a lot. I was over here, Chase Brown. I thought that was Jamar Chase, but that was Chase Brown. Jamar Chase had 8 targets and 5 catches for 23 yards. 5 catches for 23 yards? Really? You know, and I was, even early on in the game, Jake Brown actually threw a couple nice balls. He threw a couple of nice go balls to T. Higgins that got called back because of penalties. It's like, literally, the Jets and the Bengals last night were just playing and figure out who could get the more flags between one another, because it was just bad. Each time in the first half, Jake Brown and the Bengals, he would make a nice throw, and it would get called back by a penalty, either holding, illegal procedure, something. It absolutely deflated the offense. And I know you see the statistic on the bottom of my lower third. The Bengals had 159 total yards. And I want to tell you, maybe 60 yards of that was in the first drive. So in a span of 3.5 quarters, realistically, the Bengals only were able to produce 80 to 90 yards of offense. That is absolutely pathetic. When you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, 2 number 1 wide receivers, and they are getting absolutely paid like it. And it's more of the same with the Bengals. They just can't protect the quarterback. A lot of the time, Jake Browning, whenever he got to his first and second read, he'd panic. Rusher got in his face. Give credit to the Denver Broncos. That defensive line was humming all night on that offensive line of the Cincinnati Bengals, and they forced Jake Browning to start panning out to his right, strolling to his right, throwing the ball out of bounds, forcing a 3-and-out. And to get to the team stats, what were third down efficiency? The Bengals were 2-11 on third down. They didn't even go for it on fourth down. It's just they were absolutely just pathetic. Now, let's move on to the Broncos side of things. Now, the Broncos, Bo Nix and the guys, they were very bad to start the first quarter. Bo Nix threw a lot. He wasn't really efficient throwing the football. But to give credit where credit is due, Bo Nix absolutely honed in the next 3 quarters, as we just saw, and it's in the lower third. They were able to produce 519 yards worth of offense. If you can get that, you're going to be able to compete against anybody offensively. J.K. Dobbins was able to rush for 100 yards. The telecast pretty much said this is the first time Sean Payton has had a rusher to rush over 100 yards in like 30-some games. So that was a huge milestone. R.J. Harvey, a guy who they've been trying to get going, and it's a guy who they're trying to have the 1-2 combo since J.K. Dobbins. He's pretty much had like 3 career-ending surgeries in his career, so he's definitely not going to be your bell cow back. He was actually able to, they're trying to turn him more into this pass-catching type of guy, and he was able to catch some passes. He actually would have had a touchdown if Bo Nix wouldn't have thrown it over his head. Sadly, R.J. Harvey's 5'8", and he's short as crap. But, Bo Nix overshot him. He could have had a touchdown, but, he actually was able to get him a touchdown receiving the ball as well. Cortland Sutton done his thing. He got a touchdown early on in the game, Marvin Mims as well. He got him a touchdown. They were able to run the ball super efficiently. The Broncos, for some reason, so far this season, Bo Nix is able to, and offensively, they're able to move the ball, but every time Bo Nix just does a head-scratching throw to kill the drive. If we can go back to the interception drive where he threw the interception in the end zone, Bo Nix, they move the ball at will, but Bo Nix just makes the one throw, and that he throws it, he'll throw a pick or make a fumble or just throw it the wrong. Just Bo Nix just does things that just makes you want to scratch your head and be like, what are you doing? And inevitably, I think that is going to kill this Broncos team if they're wanting to win a playoff game. I know this is something that Sean Payton can fix because Sean Payton is the quarterback whisperer. Okay, he was able to take Drew Brees to a Super Bowl. He helped Drew Brees get an MVP. Granted, Drew Brees was a stud himself. We cannot go ahead and put Bo Nix in the same stature as Drew Brees. But we know that Sean Payton is able to develop young quarterbacks. So maybe this is something that Sean Payton will be able to fix. Now, we've seen the multitude of clips where there's plenty of times where Bo Nix and Sean Payton has been butt heads, specifically in week 1. It's like Bo Nix and Sean Payton could not get on one accord at all in the first game of the season. But if Bo Nix can put it together, because he has the talent, he has an arm. Did you guys see that throw that he threw to Troy Franklin on the seam route up the middle on cover 2 between both defenders? Hit him right in the hands. It was a little underthrown, but he threw the ball 60 yards. The dude's absolute talent. It's actually fascinating to see how well he's been able to acclimate to the league when a lot of people, when he played at Auburn, he wasn't that good. He was able to transfer to Oregon and pretty much save his draft stock, because if he would have stayed in Auburn, instead of being a first-round pick, he would have arguably been a third or fourth-round pick. But it's been amazing. He was a good quarterback. Bo Nix, he was in the Elite 11. I think it was in the Elite 11 with Justin Fields, if I'm not mistaken. But it's been absolutely great to see him be able to turn around and turn into a top 12, 13 caliber quarterback. And he's a quarterback that, if he continues to mature his game and work on his game, he can inevitably be able to take the Broncos to a deep playoff run, because they have the defense. Now, this Broncos defense is absolutely phenomenal. That Benito guy off the edge, I didn't even know he was an edge. I just thought he was an off-ball linebacker. He's actually on the ball. He got a couple of sacks yesterday, and it may be granted, this is the first time I've been able to vividly watch the Broncos on defense. I just know they've all, Pat Surtain, defensive player of the year over there on the defensive side of the ball. He's phenomenal. He had Jamar Chase in a bag pretty much. They got good linebackers. They got Dre Greenlaw on the way, coming off of a quad injury. And they were just able to get to the passer. And if you're able to get to the passer, stop the run, they're great on the back end. You can play great defense and compete against anybody. Now, they got a gauntlet in that same division, but I think the Broncos have the recipe, and they can be able to compete. Because you're in a division with the Chargers and the Chiefs. That division is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch. I think this week they play the Eagles. That's going to be a great game to watch. I don't know if they're playing at Philly or at Denver. Let's see here. They're playing at Philly. Philadelphia's like 18-0, I think right now, 20-0 going into last season. So maybe, hopefully, Bo Nix and the guys can give the Eagles their first loss.